We've all tried to build something to hide behind. A job, habit, a no. We said to God when we should have said yes. But I learned something writing this song. You can't hide behind or build or do anything to hide a heavy soul. This song starts soft in the wind. Jonah wasn't a monster. He was frightened, a man. He bought his passage in the dark when we think we pay for the fare and hide in the hold of the ship. The maker won't see us, but the sea knows a guilty soul. The first verse is the sound of the bitter cold creeping in. This realization that he's not getting away from his responsibilities. So, beginning of the song, arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against the wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee the Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid a fare and went down into it to go with the Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So almost verbatim in the beginning, the word came softly in the wind, to Nineveh you will go. But he's frightened, so he says no. He plans this, he tries to run away. That was where verses 1 through 3. So if we go into rest of that verse, that starting point, I kind of just continued. So if we go to the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. The mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, and then threw in the cargo was in the ship into the sea to lighten the load. But Jonah had gone down into the lowest part of the ship. He lay down and was fast asleep. The captain came to him and said to him, "What do you mean, sleeper? Arise, call on your God. Perhaps your God will consider us so that we may not perish." So, just like I said in the song, he's going with them. Just as they get out on the water, I said, the sea knows a guilty soul. He's trying to sleep, but it's just not possible. So he said to one another, "Come, let us cast our lots, that we may know who is the cause and the trouble has came upon us." So they cast their lots, and the lots fell on Jonah. They said to him, "Please tell us, for what cause is the trouble upon us? What is your current occupation, and what do you come from? What country and what people are you?" So he said to them, "I am Hebrew. I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and dry land." Then the men are exceedingly afraid and said to him, "Why have you done this?" For the men knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord, because he told them. Then he said to them, "What shall we do to you? The sea may be calm for us." For the sea was growing more tempestuous. And then he said to them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you. For I know that the great tempest is because of me." Nevertheless, the men rowed harder to return to land, but they could not. For the sea continued to grow more tempestuous against them. Therefore they cried out to the Lord and said, "We pray, O Lord, please do not let us perish for this man's life, and do not charge us with innocent blood. For you, O Lord, we have done this as it pleased you." Sorry. So that's kind of the whole introduction into the first verse. He's on this ship. The sailors cast their little lots. It points straight to him, and he can't lie. He just spills the beans. It's my Lord. It's me. I decided to run from him. This is what's going on. And he lets them know, hey, you're going to have to throw me over, because that's the only way you're going to be safe. And they fight him on it. They say, well, let's get into shore. But when the storm begins to get deeper after what he said, they believe the Lord. They pray to God, Jonah's God, and say, "Please forgive us. We do not mean to kill this man. We are doing this for you. So out he goes. So when the chorus hits, we have this heave over. It's the sound of hitting the water. So heave me over, haul away, and let the waters roll. It's a sorrowful harmony because it's kind of like a death to self. We sink into a quiet space, and before we could even get to that bottom or into the water, he's telling them this. He's telling them exactly what's going on. And we're going through, so into that bridge. Most people stop the story at the fish, or Leviathan. It doesn't say whale. Most of us believe it's a whale. Something is immense enough to go swallow whole a man. We would believe it's a whale. I decided that I was going to go through with this. I apologize if this is a little long today. I'm explaining some stuff. So, it says, now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. This is a newer translation. The older translation does state Leviathan, but even here it states fish. Well, whales are mammals. They are not fish. They do not have gills. Just saying. Anyways, don't know. These are biblical times. This is a long time ago. So, but the next verse, so 3 days and 3 nights. And then Jonah prayed to the Lord, his God, from the fish's belly. And he said, I cried out to the Lord because of my affliction, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. For you cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the flood surrounded me. All the billows of the waves passed over me. Then I said, I have been cast out of your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The waters surround me, even to my soul. So it's not until he learns to pray. And then, into the next part of the verse, if we go to chapter 2, I'm missing something. So the Lord spoke to the fish, and the fish vomited Jonah onto dry land. So when he began to pray, he tells him, hey, I'm ready to do what needs to be done. I realize what I need to do. And the Lord just says to the fish, okay, let him go. So when he finally learns to pray, he gets let go. We move on. The bridge after is the bitter whale. So most people stop the story after the fish, but the bridge of the song goes into the hillside of Nineveh. Jonah was angry that God showed mercy against his will. He cared more about the simple little vine that fell upon the people. Sorry, those little vine than a city of people. Most people stop the story of the fish, but the bridge of the song goes to the hillside in Nineveh. Jonah was angry that God's mercy flowed against his bitter will. He cared more about the simple little vine than a city of people. So if we go to, so the people of Nineveh believed God proclaimed a fast and put on a sackcloth, for ashen sackcloth. They repented. The word came to the king of Nineveh, who arose from his throne and set aside his robe, covered himself in sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He caused to proclaim the published thought of Nineveh by the decree of his king and his nobles, saying, Let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock taste anything. Do not let them eat or drink water, but let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and cry mighty to God. Yes, let everyone turn from evil, away from the violence that is in this land. So we're going to skip a little bit here. Jonah displeased, I'm using a little different words in the song, just to make it a little easier to understand. Jonah exceedingly became angry. So he prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord, was not this what you wanted, I said, when I said still in my country? Therefore I fled previously to Tarshish, for I know that you are gracious and merciful God, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, one who is relentless from doing harm. Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. So he's got this unwillingness to continue because he thought he was doing the Lord's work, and then the Lord didn't do what he thought that was going to be done, and he says, I know nothing. Why do I exist? Then the Lord said, It's right for you to be angry. So Jonah went out to the city and sat on the east side, therefore made himself a shelter and sat under it in the shade, till might see word become the city. And the Lord prepared a plant and made it come over Jonah, that in the might be shade of his head, to deliver him from the misery. So Jonah was grateful. But in morning dawned the next day, God prepared a worm, and so it damaged the plant when it withered. When the sun arose, that God had prepared a vermin east wind, the sun beat down on Jonah's head, so he grew faint. When he wished for death and said, It's better for me to die than to live, God said, Is it right for you to be angry from the plant? And he said, It's right for me to be angry even to death. But the Lord said, You have had pity upon plants, of which you have not labored, nor made it grow, which came up in the night and perished in the night. And should I not pity Nineveh, the great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who cannot discern between the right and hand, therefore left, and much livestock? So I end the song with this exact saying. There are children who do not know their way, God's children. 120,000 souls, and many cattle too. God cares about all of them. He's not just saying, hey, the people who are doing good. Because he could have taken out the ones that he wasn't. He said, there are 120,000 souls. And I said children in the song because there are children in this town who do not know their way. Should my heart not weep for them and spare them for this day? God's trying to tell Jonah, these people deserve a chance. They're my children. And I'm not just telling you just my children. I'm telling you 120,000 souls, every single one of them, and the cattle. I'll read it again. The great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who cannot discern between their right hand and left, and much livestock. So I think I liked this because Jonah runs and the Lord says, I've got plans for you. You know who I am, and you need to tell everybody who I am. Because I think that you're the right person for Nineveh. And when Jonah goes down, even after all this, after he runs, he goes to the city, and when he goes to the city, even the king takes everything off, puts on sackcloth, dives into the ash from the volcano, and says, let everybody follow this Lord. And Jonah says, why couldn't I do this before? This weighs heavy on me. Was I even needed? And God's only answer is, yes, you were. I brought you here for this reason. And you might be upset that these people could have done this, but at the same time, they are my children. And I'm going to weep for them. I'm going to give them the chance by bringing you here. I'm sorry for the longer video, guys, but I didn't know how short this was, even though it's my longest video. I knew Jonah was short, but I think that we leave out so much. Everyone knows, oh, Jonah was swallowed by a whale. Why? Well, because the Lord had plans for him. He decided to run away, and the Lord made him do it anyways. And when Jonah thought that it wasn't a point, he told him he saved 120,000 souls and cattle too. So you've already heard it, but without further ado, here is In the Belly of a Deep, the Song of Jonah.
Came softly in the wind, to Nineveh they will go. But I was just a frightened man, so I answered no. I bought my passage in the dark and hurried to the hold, to hide my face from Maker's grace out in the bitter cold. But the sea, she knows a guilty soul, and she began to weep. The winds arose, the timber groaned, the wrath was in the deep. The sailors cast their little lots with terror in their eyes, and the wooden token pointed straight to my own foolish life. So heave me over, haul away, and let the waters roll. You cannot build a wooden ship to hide a heavy soul down into the quiet dark where the ocean's secrets sleep. I'm falling on the Maker's grace down in the belly of the deep. Great Leviathan came up and swallowed me alive. 3 days of weeping in the dark, I struggled to survive. But in the belly of the beast I finally learned to pray, and the creature brought me to the shore to see another day. So I walked into the wicked streets and cried the warning loud, and watched the mighty King of men step down into the crowd. In ashen sackcloth they repented, every soul and beast, and the Maker put his anger down and smiled upon the least. So heave me over, haul away, and let the waters roll. You cannot build a wooden ship to hide a heavy soul down into the quiet dark where the ocean's secrets sleep. I'm falling on the Maker's grace down in the belly of the deep. But I was proud and I was blind, sitting on the hill, angry that his mercy flowed against my bitter will. He grew a vine to shade my head, then let it fade and die. And when the wind to burn, I asked if I could die. Then I heard the Maker whisper in the rustling of the leaves, you mourn a simple little vine that withers in the breeze. But there are children in this town who do not know their way. Should my heart not break for them and spare them for a day? So heave me over, haul away, and let the waters roll. You cannot build a wooden ship to hide a heavy soul down into the quiet dark where the ocean's secrets sleep. I'm falling on the Maker's grace, down in the belly of the deep. 120,000 souls, and many cattle too, resting in the deep.